Election 2016. In some cases, the gloves came off last night on debate night. 9 Republican presidential candidates trying to separate themselves from the field and shine in the last debate of 2015. So what do you think about what happened? Going to get her take from News4JAX political analyst Jennifer Carroll back here on the morning show.
Back again.
Now, I got to tell you, I went into this expecting a cage match between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. Didn't get it. And this exchange kind of surprised me.
If I'm elected president, we will secure the border. We will triple the Border Patrol. We will build a wall that works, and I'll get Donald Trump to pay for it.
I've gotten to know him over the last 3 or 4 days. He has a wonderful temperament. He's just fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
What do you make of that? The Donald taking an entirely different tact with Ted Cruz.
I think that was smart on his behalf because people expected that. And Donald knew that the media was going to come after him with that. Why give it to them? So he took the bubble right out of their champagne.
But then he went after Rand Paul, and people are going, why?
Rand Paul is on the bottom. What are you going to do with regards to, anything with Rand Paul? So it's safe to go after someone like Rand Paul. But Rand Paul has some pretty good points. And just like Carly Fiorina, they should not be discounted for the things that they're saying. People should really take those things to heart. But I think with this debate, it's starting to move aside the top tier from the bottom tier. And people are starting to now gel their opinion as to who the top 3 candidates ought to be. And I think we'll see some movement after the new year with additional polls, how exactly these candidates are going to play out. And then the Iowa votes.
Caucuses, yeah,
when they have
7 weeks away, yeah.
That's going to be also telling. However, it's not the caucus is not like the Florida primary. It's not each person vote. These caucus members are being selected, and it's not Democrats and Republicans, and it's not the individual voter that's going in and voting for that person of choice.
There's a whole different set of politics.
Absolutely.
At
So
play
we
there.
have to and everyone that won the caucuses in the past several elections lost the election.
That's true. Yeah, if you look at things that
nominee.
happened historically. One of the things that I did appreciate about this debate is there was a more central focus on issues, specifically national security. And when it came to Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, man, there was a tete-a-tete.
Ted, you support legalizing people who are in this country illegally.
That for Marco to suggest our record's the same, it is like suggesting the fireman and the arsonist have the same record because they're both at the scene of the fire.
A fiercely combative tone here.
Yes, I think that was a very good point, too. And this, again, separates the top-tier candidates or those that have been moving up in the polls of late to really showcase their leadership, as Jeb Bush brought out a number of times yesterday. But a surprising one is Chris Christie. I believe Chris Christie really showcased that he is knowledgeable, that he is forceful, that he has the compassion to talk to the American people. He's the only candidate that looked into the camera and said, I want to talk to the American people out there. But no surprise, and we talked about this before, that national security was going to raise to this level, and particularly with the terrorist attacks. Now it's bringing that national security and foreign policy to the domestic conversation that we had before with education and jobs. Now people are saying, if my borders aren't secure, if my city and counties aren't safe, a job means nothing if someone is blowing me up.
And that's where Chris Christie was shining. It's almost like I'm saying, I'm down, but don't count me out.
Exactly.
And then there's Jeb Bush. He is still struggling to get some traction, but he held his own.
I think in delivery is where Jeb fails because he's trying to remember, it appears that he's trying to remember all these things that he has to get out. But he got some good jabs under the skin of Donald Trump. And it seems as if Donald Trump, he seemed to be the low-energy candidate last night. Everyone else was fiery, and they had the excitement that I'm going to be able to showcase my leadership and how I'm going to protect this country and its people, and that I know foreign affairs. Even Ben Carson is studied up on foreign affairs. But Donald Trump came across a bit subdued, that he wasn't really.
It's almost like he's thinking, I've got nothing to gain here, but everything to lose.
Exactly.
So this
well,
is
he
how I'm
already
gonna
brought
play
up,
it.
I'm 45 points, Jeb, you're 3 points.
Yeah.
So, I'm in the lead sort of thing. But he was, Jeb Bush was able to get under Donald Trump's skin, and then he attacked him personally, not on the substance. And I think that's what people are now honing in on, is the substance. What do you have and the knowledge you have and the leadership you have to protect this country, because I want to make sure my family is safe.
And
that's what the public is looking at.
And we'll see if Iowa is a game changer. Jennifer
see.
Carroll, always a pleasure. Appreciate you.